Alrighty, we are live from Columbus, OH, with the defending national champion, Ohio State Buckeyes. Okay, we got audio, so I don't need the earbuds anymore. What else was I going to say about that? Anyone today against the highly overrated Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns. Matthew McConaughey was there, of course. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about finances. And I am a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. And if you, yes, you are having any issues with money, or you just want to make sure you're on the right track, you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation with me at calendly.com/coachstevemoney. That. Scroll down in the chat so I can see the chat. Okay, now we're good. Alrighty, you're watching this on youtube.com/coachstevemoney, and if you are looking for my financial content, just scroll past the Oak Island and Skinwalker Ranch playlist, and you'll see the Ramsey Show After Show playlist, and the Answering Your Financial Questions playlist, as well as the music playlist, and that includes 12 Ramsey adjacent songs, including the original one, the first one I wrote. If you want to have financial peace, then you should do the baby steps. Of course, that's a parody of sorts to Love Yourself, written by Ed Sheeran, vocal stylings by the Biebs, Justin Bieber. Hey, let's do some questions. Husker Grandma, okay, maybe Nebraska Corn Huskers, shout out Big Ten, hashtag Big Ten. Buy a house or save for retirement, you don't have to pick. You can do both, although splitting up priorities like that is going to make both things take longer. 55 female and 62 man. We're trying to decide which is the better path. We have about 70K in our retirement. You're old. That's not enough. That is going to, guess what that's going to do? That's going to generate $7,000 a year. So, it's not enough. I just started working after raising our kids for 15 years, and so our income is about $4K a month more now, about $130K. Raising your kids for 15 years, so subtract 50. So you had the first kid, I guess, at 40 years old. All right, and that's a little thing we call AMA. That would be advanced maternal age, but hopefully everybody's healthy, so that's great. So you got more income now, so that is better since you have a lot of things to do with money. You need a lot of money for. It's a good thing you make more money. And retirement isn't gonna be anywhere near soon for either of you guys, probably. Let's see, we're on track to save $100,000 over the next 2 years. How? Is all of your well, I mean, I guess if you stayed home and lived off the husband's income, I guess most of yours can go to retirement or towards a house. We have a fully funded emergency fund in 6 months, great, and no debt, hopefully, because you wouldn't be buying a house or saving for retirement, or you wouldn't be investing. You wouldn't be doing any of that unless you did have no non-mortgage debt. Additional savings of $35. Okay, this is what we don't do. Now, if that was always supposed to be a down payment fund, if that was always supposed to be that, you would start that after you finish the 6 months emergency fund. You would do that afterwards. And so if you were doing it all at the same time, you were doing it wrong. Let's see. We're trying to decide whether it would be better to max out retirement savings or put a sizable down payment on a small house, no more than $200K. We would then work aggressively to pay it off in another 2-3 years, then squirrel away as much as we could for as long as possible. We're currently renting, and our rent has gone up about 50% in the last 4 years. Indeed. And so this is why you would have already done some of this stuff, unless you were dumb, and I'm one of the dumb people that did not, even though I knew about the Ramsey advice, I knew what it was, I did not start it until much later, until mid-30s. So I was dumb as well. So, and you may not have known any better, so I'll give you a break on that. But so what you would do in this situation is you have to pick the priority. Now, both things are going to help you in retirement. Obviously, the retirement, you have cash that you can get that you out of the retirement account to pay for things when you are retired. Now, owning a house and having it paid off completely means you don't have a mortgage or rent payment in retirement, and that can help as well. So you can do both at the same time, but that's going to make both take a lot longer. So you'll have so I don't know. I would probably do the math here on this and see if you can save up 100K over the next 2 years. Are we putting kids in childcare or something? Our income will be about 4K a month more. So that's, what is that? 48,000. Okay. And so 48,000, and so you will be saving that per year plus another 2,000 from the husband's income. Okay, I got it now. I had a misunderstanding problem just with the way it was written there, but it was written fine. I just misunderstood it. So the problem is you want to do everything all at the same time, and the main problem is that you don't have much time before you will be retired, or you may not be able to work. Just, the body breaks down when you get older. Let's see what else but both would be good. As far as which one to do, I mean, you should be investing once you are on step 4, which you are on. And I guess the 35K could be the down payment fund in savings here, and that you have in addition to your fully funded emergency fund. So I would do the math both ways to see what that would be like. But so you could put half down, and then you should probably be doing both at the same time. You should be, especially if your house payment, your mortgage payment, will be cheaper than the rent you have now. That allows you to put more on the house to pay it off early, and of course to do all 15% of gross into that. But I would have to sit down, as people like to do when they do financial stuff, instead of stand up. But you can stand up while you do thinking about financial stuff. Let's see. This will put my husband around 70. Yeah, he doesn't plan to retire as he works for himself. Great. Loves to keep busy and has already said he'll always do something to make money. Great. I figure this will get us to 75, 80 before needing to touch whatever nest egg we have by then. Great. Great. And so that's 80. when you say we'll get to 75, 80, the problem is you are 7 years younger than him, and 75 to 80 is only 5 years difference. So that doesn't cover the both of you. But you yourself, if you are going to get to 75, that's 25 years from now. And so that does give you more time in the market as well. So, yeah, I mean, just plan on working until you absolutely can't anymore. Paying off a house before retirement would reduce monthly expenses. Right, that's what I said. Down to what we'd collect from Social Security. Oh, that's right, forgot about. So what do you think about Social Security? That is a thing as well. So we'd only need our savings for extras. Our monthly expenses would be down to what you'd collect. You already looked into what you'd collect from Social Security. So for extras, work on the house or any other unanticipated expenditures. Yeah, that's the real trick, isn't it? Unanticipated. If we continue renting, we're not sure what that cost would be. Yep, that is going to keep going up for 100% for sure. But I'm budgeting for $2,000 a month. We would just choose housing based on that number. We're obviously in a position where we have to make some trade-offs between a paid for house and a bigger retirement income, right? And you could possibly even go with a smaller house. I don't know how old the kids are, if they are in fact the oldest one's 15 and the other, you probably can't go down to a 1-bedroom if that's the case because they're still living with you. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I would have to just again look at all the numbers and I would go through the entire math to just say whether for 2 years you might just do the house, and that way you could get a house sooner and start on that. But then you would have to start after 2 years you would have to start the 15% to invest in. And of course, while you're doing that, guess what? Other things are going to pop up that you are going to want to do and money you want to spend. And so you would have to be frugal during that entire time, and only maybe only after you have retired and stopped working, that might be the only time that you are able to not be, at least semi-gazelle intense. So yeah, I would want to look at the actual numbers per the actual year. And of course, you never know, you can't tell the entire future, but as far as making a decision like that, I would like to see the whole timeline before I would say what to do about that. But probably house, because you will still have to rent otherwise, and the idea would be to get a mortgage payment that is lower than what you're paying in rent now, which it doesn't say. I didn't see it in there. No, it's just that it's gone up. It doesn't say how much it is. Okay, but yeah, don't say no more than 200,000. Get 150 or even 100,000 if you can. And next, love the Spectrum ad. How to take care of my addict father's money. Gold toe toad. See what you did there. How to take care of my addict father's money. What's he addicted to, dog? Let's see if it says, hello everyone, I considered calling into the show, but I'll see what Reddit has to say first, at least, okay. Long family history short, my dad has a real estate business. He'd tell you that it was very successful, but he lying. But after some poor delegation choices on his part, he received a stack of foreclosure notices and his business failed. Yeah. So it wasn't very successful, or at least didn't end up that way. This experience traumatized him and he turned into substance abuse. That is not good at all. This was almost 10 years ago today. He has approximately $40,000 in a trust account. That's not a lot. Didn't say how old he is. He had been begging his family to take control of his money so he wouldn't be able to smoke at all. and his brother finally did it, okay? However, his brother is now in the hospital, and I, along with his other brother, was named as the successor. Oh, successor to the trust. So now I'm holding on to his money. Okay, it's only $40,000. But still, I understand why he should not be in charge of it. My question, how should I navigate this new relationship with my dad? I'm in a position where I approve or disapprove his expenses. How do I tell when to say yes and when to say no? Well, if it's for whatever he's smoking, that's a no. And you have to make sure that it's not just, oh, well, I'll get the cash from you, daughter, and then I'll go purchase the thing that is 100% necessary, certainly. You can't trust an addict with that. It's his money after all. Yeah, you still can't trust an addict with that, and that's the whole reason that there is a trust and that there would be power of attorney, I guess, over that. Example, I know I'll be saying no to him buying a car. Yep. He will relapse within a week. Yep. However, beyond that, how do I know when to say no? What are the guidelines? I would say it has to be something 100% necessary because he doesn't have any money. I mean, is he working now? Complication one, why'd you have to go and make things so complicated? He wants to do real estate again. He can't. You don't do real estate by getting a mortgage on something. So that's a no. I'll help you with that one. That's a no. I think it's a horrible idea, but I don't think I can convince him of that. It doesn't matter. You're in charge of the finance. Well, I mean, in charge of the 40,000. I don't know. I don't know if what just because there's a trust doesn't mean you have power of attorney. I don't think so. You need to figure out. You need to consult a lawyer about that if you don't know the difference between those. I know nothing about real estate, but I'm in a position in which I approve or disapprove all of his expenses. You said that already, including the business-related ones. Yeah, that's a no. How do I balance my responsibility to keep his money safe with my lack of a desire to learn about real estate? You don't need to learn about it because that's just a no. He can't go into business for himself ever again. And he can't do real estate again because he does not have multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy any real estate. He has $40,000. How far do you think that's going to go? Complication two, he has credit cards. Boop, boop, boo, doo. See, that's why you can't half-ass this. You cannot half-ass this by just controlling the 40,000 and just letting him do whatever otherwise, because that doesn't help. If he has credit cards, guess what he can do at any time? He can go buy something that's dumb as crap with it. He wants to build his credit in preparation for entering the water real estate. Yeah. And that is a no. Real estate and any business is built at the speed of cash if you're following the Ramsey advice. You do not get a mortgage on business / rental properties. You do not do that. What good does me holding on to his money do if he can just spend whatever he wants, whenever he wants using debt? Right. And so if you're not power of attorney, you might want to give up the whole thing. I wish he'd settle for a simple, okay, if wishes were fishes, we'd all swim. What you have to do here is see the reality in front of you, and this is one of my things that I say, and you embrace the heck out of the reality. He is not going to do that. He's going to want to do something that you don't want him to do, and what you need to do is get over yourself with the, I wish he'd do then and that. Well, of course, no duh. Of course you want him to act better and do what he should do. But he's not going to do that because he's an addict. And he might be addicted to real estate as well. But he is just stuck on, or just think it's a way to make money quickly. And he has experience in it, of course, too. So, I kind of get it, but he doesn't have the money to do that. So, and you don't seem to be adverse to debt. You just seem to him adverse to him doing it, more likely. But the Ramsey advice is no debt for anything. No, 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 unless it's a mortgage for a house that you live in. I'm certain this dream will become a nightmare. Right, of course it will. But it'll accuse me of cruelty if I hold him back from his passion, and he might be partly correct. No, he won't. That's not cruel. You are trying to look out for him so he doesn't lose everything again. P.S. I've gotten through almost my entire life without him. Only the last couple of years have we been really talking. Yeah, you shouldn't have been involved probably at all. So I'm not really nervous about the risk of losing this relationship. Okay, I'm okay with being strict with access to money. Go ahead, but how strict is too strict? I would have to. He doesn't get to do anything that's not 100% necessary to live. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't get to do that. Maybe he gets to go see a movie, something like that. Maybe he gets to get fast food every so often, but the credit cards would have to go as well for me to be involved with it and for it to follow the Ramsey advice. And so you are not on the Addict subreddit, you're on the Dave Ramsey subreddit. And so this would be put through the lens of the Ramsey advice. And so that means no debt and no real estate because you cannot use debt to buy rental properties. So that would be a no. And so that makes it really easy to say no and keep him from doing that dumbass crap that he did before and failed. So he hasn't shown an ability to do it yet. He says it's successful. I don't care what he says. And so, yeah, again, I would question whether you should be doing that, but I guess it's too late now. You're already doing it. And again, if you don't have power of attorney over everything else, it is kind of useless because guess what? If he does the debt, then guess what? Even that money in a trust might have to be taken out to pay for that. And on the balance sheet, anyway, even if the trust is sacred ground and it can't be touched, on a balance sheet of assets and liabilities, that would just even out anyway. So I don't know. I would probably talk to someone out about it. Maybe a counselor, maybe a lawyer, maybe both. Maybe he has some kind of caseworker or something like that. For his addiction maybe as well, that you can talk to. I would try to get all the information that you can about this, especially legally, before you go on. And you may have to get rid of you being the trustee or among the trustees. I don't know. I think was there anybody else on it still with you, or did it all just go to you? So again, we'd need more information, and I know this person doesn't have all the information that I would be looking for. So that's what you should be doing, is getting more information about the legal ramifications and so forth. Pay past due payments are $1,000 in savings. Educator ready. Sorry. I'm going to start the Ramsey method for wealth building. Excellent. Right now, I'm a couple weeks behind on a couple credit card payments. Okay, well, guess what? We're not wealth building now because that's like filling a bucket that has a hole in it. So we're not doing that. We're patching the hole. Does anyone know if Dave recommends, getting caught up on those and then saving the 1K, or should I start with the 1K and then push through the debt payment? Baby step 1, flare. And no, it doesn't say it here, but part of baby step 0 is to get current first. You would also get insurances in place. You also make sure that you have, this is all before you save the $1,000. You get insurances in place. You What was the thing you're talking about now? Oh yeah, you get current. What else on? You make sure you have the four walls: housing, food, transportation, clothing. The clothing would be a distant fourth as far as priority, of course. In a situation like this, you're not going to buy new clothes just because you feel like it. That's going to be a negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. So yeah, that's part of baby step. Baby step 0 has a bunch of other things in it as well. So yep, that's not on the baby steps list. So you get a break on not knowing that one. So, but hey, got a great idea. Watch the shows. Watch all of the shows. Have it playing in the background while you're doing something else. That's fine. You don't have to, be tuned to it when it airs on YouTube or Spotify, or when it's playing live on radio or Spotify or Sirius or anything like that. You can always listen to it later while you're doing something, and you can multitask on it. Like, oh, I listen to podcasts all the time when I play video games. Like, specifically Madden is like, it's not like a video game like The Last of Us or something else like that, a role-playing game or something like that, where you would want to be more immersed in it. But just like it, just being football, I don't have to hear all the football sounds. I turned all that down to nothing except for the some of the field noise. C combination 8348, pay off house or invest. Well, they're not exclusive of each other. And so what you would be doing once you have the fully funded emergency fund, you would be in steps 4, 5, and 6, and that means you would be investing 15% and only 15% while you have a mortgage, and pay off your home early is step 6. So since you do 4, 5, and 6 at the same time, 5, if it's not applicable to you, if you don't have kids or you decide not to help them for whatever reason, then you can skip step 5, but you do the 15% in retirement investing and no other investing, not 1 cent more. There's no brokerage accounts, there's no crypto, there's no gold, there's no other dumb crap. You just do 15% managed mutual funds for retirement, and then anything left over in your extra money would go to pay the house off early. House is currently on a 30-year mortgage at 3.55%. Yeah, we got a 30-year mortgage because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to afford the house. So that means you can't afford it. Then if you can't afford it on 15-year fixed rate mortgage, you cannot afford it. We're 11 years in, and $138,000. It's worth around $700K. Should we push to pay it off early or invest the money instead? My wife and I are 53 and 51. I have about $500 extra a month I could throw at the mortgage and would really like to get it paid off before we retire. The mortgage is our only debt, and we have about $1.6 million in retirement. If you can completely pay that $138,000 off in 2 years, you can do it. Otherwise, you would keep doing both. You would keep doing the 15%, and you would put anything extra to the house. So what I would do in this case is I would challenge the person. I always come up with extra thing to challenge. Instead of just being able to throw 500 extra to it, how about we cut out some crap that is not necessary and you throw 600 at it instead? I always challenge everybody to at least think about being more strict and more gazelle intense than they want to be, even though it's not a law that you have to be, of course. I always give them, just to tell them you could be doing more instead of doing this other thing, whatever else you're doing with that extra $100 a month, and that's not necessary to do. So steps 4, 5, and 6, you can do fun things. You can go on vacation. You know, you can put fun things in the budget. That's fine. But there may be something in your budget, or that's even not in your budget, maybe bad if it's not. But stuff that you're spending money on every month that is not that important. Even though it might be important to you, but it's just not, you don't need it to live. And it depends on if doing that one thing, you would rather have the house paid off, or would you rather go out to eat more? Go out to eat less, have the house paid off faster, that kind of thing. So yeah, I always have a challenge for people in coaching, clients, I guess. 40K to invest. What would it grow best? Thanks for the advice. And no, I don't need to touch it until retirement. Another 15 years. Okay. What up, Sid? How's it going? How the bayou today? It was 73 degrees earlier when I was out in the world. And yeah, it was 90 in the middle of last week, so it's quite a change. So as far as it's possible that you shouldn't even invest it. So what we do is go by the baby steps, of course. So you would be, theoretically, you don't have any debt, any non-mortgage debt. You don't have any, theoretically. You also... if you are investing at all, you should also have the full 6-month emergency fund. And you should be investing the 15%. And save for kid college if that's applicable. And so you would apply it, any money, any extra money at all, you apply to whatever baby step you're on. And so if you have not paid off the house early, or you haven't even started kid college, if you decide to do that, then you need to get on that, and that's where it would go instead of some other type of investment. And so, yeah, you wouldn't, until the house is paid off early, you don't invest more than the 15% into retirement. So that would be the answer to that. You don't do any other investment, so it would go to kid college fund and or paying off house early. Otherwise, you're doing it wrong, and there could be any number of things. The person might not actually be on steps 4, 5, and 6 yet. Maybe he's down for his evening nap. Oh, is that how it works out? Evening nap, and yeah, I guess they do go to nap quite often at that age. The good ice cream is on sale this week, so we grabbed a couple. That's great. Mr. Sid is a big fan of the good ice cream. Doesn't like the bad ice cream. Can you remind us again what brand and flavor the good ice cream is? Zone Infinite 6155. Oh, was that one? And baby step 2. It'll be just like starting over. That would be John Lennon. Solo song. Fantastic Trash 9430. Okay, we got an update. So let's not read the update first. Where's the... Oh my goodness gracious me. That's... Jeez. Okay, so let's just read the update and we'll go from there. My husband and I decided to sell the trailer and both of our vehicles and clear ourselves of those loans and use the excess to buy ourselves cheaper vehicles in cash. That's exactly the advice. Good job. Somebody else must have told them that. Hey, there are non-trolls on here. How about that? Those debts totaled $72,000 of our debt, so we'll leave us with only $18K left. And that's exactly why that's the advice. We have found multiple places to cut/lower costs in our budget. Of course, you can easily find that if you look. and are trying to cut things and are being realistic about what's necessary and what's not necessary. And it just depends on how important X item is versus getting your finances in better shape. That will give us probably somewhere around $750 more to throw at our debt each month with upcoming annual raises and bonuses. You shouldn't count on those because those don't always happen. That should get us out of debt in less than 8 months. That'd be great. Probably closer to 6 months. That'd be better. I don't know how quickly we will be able to sell the trailer since we are getting into off season, but we already got it listed for sale. Great. And you keep lowering the price until you sell it. So crossing our fingers, we can sell it quickly. Selling my husband's truck next, and then my car will be last since we will have to use the money from other sales to get me a different vehicle. We each have to have vehicles because my husband drives. Okay. All right. Bye-bye. I have to drive my kids. All right. We're feeling very hopeful and motivated right now. Great. And we already posted a lot of other items around the house for sale. Fabulous. What is the... Okay. Just letting us know. All this seems fine. What are you doing? Again, his previous job was unstable. Some weeks he would... Okay. He changed jobs. All right. Moved because... Okay. All right. All right. Where he was offered a jobs where all of my family is, so another perk. Okay, yeah, all right. Hey, you talked me into all of this stuff. Now you just got to do it. Make sure it happens. Just got carried away with the excitement of it. Oh, okay. Here's what happened before. We just got carried away with the excitement of it. And being annoyed with our old cars, having issues that we went stupid. Yeah, we've all gone stupid before. And went back further into debt. But we recognized our mistakes and now we're fixing it and should be able to be debt-free and have a fully funded emergency fund. Okay, great. So, sounds great. And this does happen where something causes you to think, oh, I think it would be a good idea to follow the Ramsey advice, to follow the baby steps and do the baby steps and be intentional with our money and stuff like that and not do loans ever again. And then all of a sudden, I don't want my car to ever have issues again. Guess what? Even a new car can have issues. So that's dumb. So you're doing a little justification station there. But they realized it, and they're fixing it. So, and that's all you can do, is fix it. And hopefully you don't have to start over with the baby steps. But sometimes you do, because you can't stick to it and make a mistake. Oh, that's right, Bluebell. For normally $7 to $8 for a half a gallon, down to 5.75 cents. $5.75. I got it. Baby takes 1.5 to 2 hour naps in his 12-hour day. Okay, we're still working on getting him to be tired at the right times and building the routines. Okay, yeah, you can't, put the baby on a schedule like that and expect, oh, the baby will just sleep at this time when I want the baby to sleep. Just clock him in like you're clocking into work, gotta clock in for a nap. And that sounds like heaven to me. Sora and Pals, credit growth, refinance or new car. Let's just check in. Reddit.com/r/Dave Ramsey. Have you heard of Mr. Ramsey? Now, is this a troll? Troll are just far too normal, far too average of a person. Because most people will not do the Ramsey advice. And so I wonder why they would be here if they don't want to do this. And so talking about being on the baby steps and what would Dave do, credit growth. He would say do not be growing your credit. Don't do anything that grows your credit. I mean, pay your expenses on time, rent, and so forth. And if that accidentally, just as a byproduct, does it, but don't do anything else to try to grow your credit. And you refinance a new car, no, you would sell the car probably, just because you are thinking about refinancing. And just because you're thinking about buying a new car, you're dumb as crap. Let's see. Hello, everyone. On baby step 2, that was a mistake. Oops. What was a mistake? Oh, must have said baby step 3. Okay, and edited it, I guess. On baby step 2, that was, okay, 27 female, my husband 36 man. Have been working hard at the Ramsey method since the start of 2025. We're still on baby step 2, right? But we're pushing through and keeping focus. I bought a used Subaru 2020 in 2022. Yep, 2 new. My initial plan back then was to save money to replace the car. I had been driving without needing a payment plan. But as fate would have it, my car broke down on the side of the road and I needed transportation ASAP. That doesn't mean you need to finance a car. So everybody runs to debt, though. Everybody runs to debt and lets that be their emergency fund instead of, buying a really cheap car or working something else out. It's possible that you and husband don't need to have separate cars. Maybe you could share one, even though you might be inconvenienced a little bit. You know what is really inconveniencing? Debt on a car. That is way more inconveniencing. I do not live in a walkable area. My work is out of the city I live in. Okay, great. Back then, I knew some basics of good finances, which is why I initially wanted to save money to not have a car loan, but I checked. All right, let's see. Didn't notice that it was more than this. Initially, but I chose to get a used car that was more than what I had. Okay. Again, we don't need to put the what in there. That was more than I had is sufficient. You don't need to throw the extra word what in there. That is dumb as crap. I also had absolute crap credit and we don't care about credit though. So that's why I'm confused here. Only had about a year on my accounts and I had a smaller federal student loan. With the money I put down, I financed $25,299. What part of the baby steps says to finance a car? Yikes. I know. Yeah. Dumbass. I pay about, and if you started the baby steps and then did this crap, that is the dumbest crap you could ever do. I pay about $468 a month with about $50 going toward additional insurance for my tires and glass damage. I live in a construction area with lots of development and loose gravel. That would be your justification station for paying some kind of BS additional insurance. I mean, if that's part of the financing, that's a no. If it's through your insurance company, that might be a little different thing. I've never missed a payment on it. Okay, none of that matters. My credit score has gone up from below. Okay, but we don't care about that. Currently, I have a principal balance of like $14,700. The plan was going to be to refinance when my credit finally got a joke, but I'm being told from family that it would make more sense if I got a new car for a lower APR. Okay, again, Mr. Ramsey is the no debt guy, so this would be neither. You have an understanding problem about how the Ramsey advice works and about the baby steps. I'm not a math brain, so I'm struggling to understand which is the best choice. Neither. And we don't give a crap. Stop giving a crap about your credit score. Stop. You're doing it wrong. And so, easily could be a troll, easily could be some normal dumb person that is just clueless. Oh, just follow the Ramsey plan. Oh, but along the way here, I'm going to be refinancing. and I'm gonna buy a new car and finance that. Dumb. 2 emergency funds. What? Opinion of C. Well, I'm going to give you the opinion of Steve. 2 emergency funds. I have a question about emergency funds. Go ahead. I have a 10K emergency fund and a high yield savings account. As part of my budget, after all expenses, I was going to invest $600 a month and $250 a month for travel. That's a no. That's a no. What we do is we have the full emergency fund, and you should have no debt. And so that should put you on steps 4, 5, and 6. And so you would be doing step 4, 5, and 6. Now you can do traveling, and you can have a sinking fund for traveling. That's fine, but you don't do extra investing other than the retirement. And if this is going into retirement, that's fine, but you should be doing 15%. If you can't do 15%, especially while you're doing the $250 a month for travel, you would not be doing $250 a month for travel. My question is, I have $200 a month that I was going to put into a smaller emergency fund. Why? / sinking fund for miscellaneous stuff that would pop up, like a doctor's visit, car repairs, etc. Should I have 2 emergency funds or lump it together? No, that would be a sinking fund, but the problem is that, although you said doctor's visit or car repairs, now if it's an emergency like that, you use your regular emergency fund for that. You only need 1 for that. If the car repair isn't something that can be put off and it is necessary and you need transportation, then that would be an emergency too. So you don't have 2. So I understand if you want to up that to be a 6 month, because maybe the 10K doesn't hold you over for 3 months. I mean, for 6 months, maybe it's just a 3-month emergency fund. And so you can expand that to 6, but you would not be doing that. And when you say for miscellaneous stuff that would pop up, that makes me think that, it might not be a doctor's visit or a car repair. It might be some dumb stuff you want to do that is not necessary, and you should be putting that money towards the baby steps instead. So you should not have 2 emergency funds. You should have a maximum of 6 months of expenses. And that would take care of any doctor's visit or any car repairs. And that's that's the only amount you get for that. Other than that, your money needs to be going to the other baby steps, step 4, 5, and 6. Investing 15% of gross income into retirement. And if you have kids and want to help them with college, that would be step 5. You would be addressing that. The younger they are, it can be just a little bit per month. And you pay off the house early if you have a house, if you have a mortgage. So that would be the dealio on that. And you prioritize that instead of having a bunch of extra cash laying around for things that aren't emergencies. So that's the problem. That's why you want to specify that it's an emergency. That's why it's called an emergency fund, so you don't take money out of there to do dumb stuff. Patty cakes, Baker's Man, 88XX. In baby step 2, should I pay 6-month car insurance for 10% savings in premium? Yes. Because guess what? Over that 6 months, that way you'll be able to put 10% of that extra to debt. How about that? See, even the math works out that time. Deleted. They got too hot for this person, but not locked. Purchasing a home, Arizona or the state up north. Too cold up there. Too icy and snowy up in the state up north. Arizona, probably too humid and hot. So probably not to either of those. Hello everyone, I'm 26 years old and I've been following Ramsey for years. And so I wouldn't tell you where to go live because I don't have to go live there after I tell you that. So You have to check on other things like, I mean, you wouldn't do any, if you have not lived in either of those places, you don't do either of those. You rent for a year first, and that allows you to know whether you want to stay there enough to buy a house. For there, okay, no credit cards, that's great. Now face a very important life decision beyond conflicted on what might be the best decision, best option, excuse me. I live in Arizona, okay, so you know about that one, and have been a resident my whole life. My dream has always been to own a house. I'm fortunate enough to have a job. Depends on where in Arizona. Michigan might be a lot cheaper. Just depends. Where are we? I lost my play. Alone in Arizona, I've been a resident my whole life. My dream has always been known. I'm fortunate enough to have a job that pays me $100,000 a year. Is that job and pay rate gonna follow you to the state up north for me? Because of this, I've saved up enough money to purchase a lower price home / condo with a 15-year fixed rate mortgage using a manual underwriting process. See, this person is familiar with Mr. Ramsey, apparently. So that's great. I ask you to be just a little bit familiar with him. Enough to know that he doesn't give a flip about your credit score. However, I've grown weary of the city heat, traffic, and you won't have problem with, well, I mean, I get this this past summer here, this as recently as a few weeks ago, it's in the Midwest, it has been way warmer than normal. And there's traffic everywhere, and Michigan has a lot of traffic issues, I believe. At least it does on like the interstates. Don't know about like the inner city driving, and have been wanting to move closer to my family who live up in Michigan. Okay, so you got family there. Have you lived there though? In Michigan, the housing is far more affordable. Affordable. How about that? I guessed it. Near my family in Kiyo, Michigan. I'll have to ask my daughter where that is. Or I could check the Google, I suppose. I guess. I'm just like the people that go to Reddit to ask a question instead of just Googling it. I could purchase a lower price home near my family with cash and have no mortgage. Great. This utilizes more in the fact that my job is very specific and there doesn't seem to be much employment opportunities for it in Michigan. That is important. As I was saying before, I've already brought that up. Only one job application in 50-mile radius that I could find online. Looking online, it seems like I may have to settle for a more entry-level job that pays a lot less, indeed. But the cost of living may be less since the houses are cheaper. What do you think Dave Ramsey would think is the best option? If you have not lived in Michigan, you need to rent for a year there first. And as far as the job, you need to decide whether you want to make less money. You know, it depends on, is the traffic, heat, and what else did you say? Of the city, heat, and traffic, okay? You might grow weary of the Michigan city, too. So, the grass is not always greener, my friend. Have any of you left a well-paying job to be closer to family? No. / in a better area? No. I could do very well for myself in Arizona if I stay, right? However, I miss family and personally love the greenery / lakes of the state of Michigan. Okay, if you live there, that makes it easier. And so this is a you question here. But I told you all the things you need to think about from the Ramsey point of view. If you haven't lived there, you don't buy a house there. And other than that, and you have to maybe decide, you don't know, you've looked online for like 10 minutes if you're the average 26-year-old for a open job there. It's the only one, it had one job application. You mean one job ad in which you could click on to do an application. That doesn't mean there aren't more opportunities there. So you need to look more into it. I'll look into it. So yeah, but that's the Ramsey advice on it. But as far as making that ultimate decision, you need to take the things that I gave you and make the decision based on that stuff. Fitboard 6528. Oh my goodness gracious, already 8:55. I want to hear your wildest dreams. That is, who the heck is that? When the music plays. Gosh, that's not. Moody Blues, Moody Blues. Got it. See, not today, dementia. Not today. Moody Blues. My wife and I are expecting our first. Oh, I want to hear your wildest money saving tips. Wife and I are expecting our first baby, and Sid will give you nap scheduling tips. And currently are trying to pay off our house, and we are extremely committed. Doing it wrong. I'll tell you why in a second. Obviously, I know the obvious, like budgeting. Yeah. And the way you type that makes me think you're not budgeting right now. And keep your monthly expenses low and etc. But I want to know your most off the rails things you did to save money, or your favorite hacks, or even free ideas on things to do with friends on the weekends. You can go to parks and stuff on the weekends. They have like open air sometimes, like in parks or city centers. They have free movies. You know, anything that's free. Check your local civic schedule, Parks and Recreation schedule. Maybe you could watch Parks and Recreation. You could binge that with your family and friends as well, if you have a streaming service money in the budget. But the wildest thing, I don't think it's that wild, but some people would think what I do for drinks at work is wild. And also I don't ever buy a drink from a fast food place. Because I go pick it up and I come back to my house where I have cheaper beverages here. And so what I also do is I get the Kroger brand of Coke Zero or Diet Coke. I get the Kroger brand of it, and that's $1.25 instead of $3 or more. I get that, and then I pour those into 20-ounce bottles to take to work, instead of, again, getting a smaller unit somewhere that's going to cost more probably than the freaking $1.25 for the entire 2 liters. So some people would think that is nutty. Now, I took my son to Raising Cane's earlier, and we ate there, and so at that point I would get a drink there, but of course I refilled it while we were there, and I refilled it again on the way out, so they're not getting me, I'm getting them. So, you know, I mean, you can't, you know, you don't really do that on like the most Mexican restaurants that we do, or like, you know, sit down waiter waitress restaurants, and you don't really do that there. But Raising Cane's, you can do that. I'd also do that like at Five Guys, but it's probably been 3 years since I've been to a Five Guys. There is one right next to where I work though now, so maybe soon. Wildest, I don't know. If you're still watching, Sid, do you have any wildest thing? I'm trying to think of something else I did that was wild. Just saying no to stuff that the average person would go ahead and spend the money on. Yeah, because I've been like trying to think of and pay attention to my finances all the time as far as any out of the ordinary things that I do, and that is one of them. I don't purposely get too many napkins, but if there's too many napkins on my table, I will bring them home. My son got the napkins today, and he got like 3 of them, and so those were all used up. Yes, we're messy, I guess, but we needed an extra a half one each, I guess. So there wasn't any today, but so I would do that as well instead of, because once they've been on your table, they're just going to throw them away anyway. So why not? So yeah, I really can't think of anything wild. It's just like, no, I mean, there's a lot of stuff the average person that doesn't do the baby steps, that doesn't follow Dave Ramsey's advice, that they would spend money on, that I don't spend money on. So, but nothing else is coming to mind at the moment. I'll see if I can think of any in the last, it's already 9:01. All right, let's do one more here. Individual Farm 9444. I want Dave to respond to me. All righty. Well, the phrasing here, leaving out the respond to, leaving out to, maybe not English as a first language. And so, but again, in the accepting reality, it doesn't matter if you want Dave to respond to you. You cannot make that happen. You do not have the power to make that happen. So quit being dumb, quit being stupid. And, if you want some advice, if you type it in here, people are going to comment, and 44 people did for some reason. Let's see what dumb crap this is. And also, as I often say, Mr. Ramsey and Ramsey Solutions have nothing to do with this subreddit. And people are dumb as crap because they think that, it's got Dave Ramsey's name on it, he must run this. No, he doesn't. Job market is tough, very few hiring. You can get a job if you want to get a job. I'm middle-aged dude. Should I retire? Probably not. If you're only middle-aged, I mean, what do you consider middle-aged? 35? Something like that? Mr. Ramsey does not advise early retirement, regardless. He thinks you'll be too bored. He would be too bored, I would be too bored, and so, I mean, at least do some kind of work, even if it's like, like a side hustle yourself. Brokerage, 420K, okay, that's in addition to the retirement. So the retirement part, 340K a year, why is that more than the brokerage? I mean, why is that less than the brokerage? So you're doing it wrong somehow, or you have crappy retirement investing options, could be, I guess. House almost paid off, 90K. Pay off the house first. Being in the Midwest, hashtag Midwest, hashtag Big Ten. And, Big Ten, though, has Oregon in it now. USC. So, and also Rutgers on the East Coast, so it's not all Midwest. I might sell it at profit and get something cheaper if I have to get myself out of workforce. No dependents, no debts, doable. Yeah, if you're it's not advised, but if your expenses are low, if you have a paid off house, pay the house off first and then reassess. And then your brokerage and retirement accounts will probably be worth more as well. And so you can probably do that. All right, one more, because I'm very, don't know how. Let's see how they're confused. Equivalent buyer, 841, confused by Dave Vicker. Okay. The R is next to the E on the keyboard, so I will forgive that, I guess. Over and over, I hear him say, have you ever heard me tell people to borrow money? No. Okay, and this is what we call nitpicking. And so he doesn't tell you to borrow money because you never should. He says the advice is to buy a house all in cash. But he just will not yell at you if you get a mortgage. That is the only thing allowable on the baby steps. The only debt allowable on there. And it's for a mortgage because 99.9% of the time the house will appreciate. Yet several times people call in with underwater cars and he says sell them and go borrow the difference from a credit union. Yes, and you can borrow the money to get out of a larger loan. He is fine with you borrowing $5,000 if it allows you to get rid of a $15,000 loan, for example. Yes, so why can't you understand that? You're just trying to nitpick the advice, I think. So is that debt in the same category as a mortgage? No, it's not. It's to lower your debt. That lowers your debt, right? So if you borrow $5,000 and it allows you to get rid of a $15,000 car loan, that makes your debt situation better by $10,000, right? Right? Yes. Quit being dumb. Why is the advice not save money up and pay off the difference? Because that does it immediately, and you already have more than that in debt. You are still decreasing the amount of your debt. Why don't you understand that? You are just trying to be difficult because you don't like the Ramsey advice, probably, or you're just dumb and can't think in these terms that I just said. It lowers the amount of debt that you owe, so that is the same as paying off debt, even though it involves borrowing different money. So you're borrowing less than you're getting rid of. Don't you understand? If you were borrowing the same amount that you were getting rid of, then that would be stupid. So quit being dumb. Let's look at the am I doing it? Yeah, tomorrow night is Sunday night. I will be doing another answering your financial questions, and Monday these two are confirmed. Absolutely gonna happen. Monday morning, September 1st, Labor Day, definitely doing an after show. I believe, I can't remember if they work on, well, it won't be the Labor Day show anyway. It would be the Friday show that would air, the Friday live / radio show that would air Monday morning. But sometimes they might hold that for Tuesday. They've done that kind of thing before. Hold that for Tuesday and just do a best of kind of thing on the holiday. If they're off. I can't remember even if they're off. They may actually be doing a live show that day too. But that will, of course, will not be on YouTube until Tuesday. So, alrighty. So let's preview a couple of questions and then we'll get out of here because I'm going to do a continued Last of Us Part 2 chronological playthrough on the YouTube starting at 9:30, so about 22 minutes from now. So we better get going here. Advice for a girl in her mid-20s. It's the same advice for everybody. The age does not make any difference. You would still follow these baby steps. The exception is if you still live with mommy and daddy, or if you are still in college or going to be going to college, you would be piling up your cash for all that. So that's the difference there. We'll find out exactly what her situation is tomorrow night. Was let go in November 24. Emergency funds are running low. I got a great idea. Sometime between November 24 and today, your dumbass should have gotten a job. We'll look into all that as well. Or maybe the new job. I've been looking for a new job. Not hard enough, you have not. Unknown lien on my house. That sucks. You might see lawyer about that. I don't know. I'll read it anyway to see if maybe it's something that I do know about. But an unknown lien just happened to be there on your house. That shouldn't have been allowed to be sold to you if it was there when you bought it. So we'll see. House purchase with mortgage versus paid off. If you have the cash, you 100% use the cash to buy the house. You do not get a mortgage if you have any kind of savings. That is debt leverage. To get the house with a mortgage while you have enough cash to pay for it, that's debt leverage. And Mr. Ramsey is not only anti-debt, he's anti-debt leverage as well. And again, the separate emergency funds, people are nutty with this. We'll see what their problem is as well. Alrighty. Once again, Coach Steve Money Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. And if you are having money problems, you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation with me by emailing coachstevemoney@gmail.com. And restart. It would have started up right in the same spot in just a second. Anyway, and in the time it took me to tell you this. Actually, it's faster than the time it took me to tell you that. But you can schedule that by emailing me at coachstevemoney@gmail.com, and we will work it out. The schedule changes too much, too late, too close to the time to do it through the website to keep updating. Donations can go to paypal.me/CoachSteveMoney. Alternatively, the Cash App at $CoachSteveMoney. Or a Walmart gift card to that same email address, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. You can also use that email address to ask me about anything on your mind, including things on my YouTube channel, financial coaching itself, or just any financial stuff. Upcoming streams, The Ramsey Show, After Show, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. Did the one Wednesday. Haven't updated this yet. I'll try to update it before tomorrow night's stream, and Monday, September 1st, and that 100% is happening. And Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as well, September 3rd, 4th, and 5th, those are subject to change. And answer your financial question streams, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We did the one Thursday, and it says Saturday and or Sunday, but both of those are happening. This one was the Saturday one, and so the Sunday one tomorrow will be happening. Also the 31st. The 31st is tomorrow. Alrighty. And of course, again, going to be continuing the chronological playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2, coming up at 9:30, and that's in a short 18 minutes from now. So I'm going to take a quick break, and I will be streaming again, but not about financial stuff. There's not too much financing. Too much financial stuff going on in the apocalyptic world there. In the post-outbreak day world. Kind of forage for everything, kind of. See what you can find laying around. Alrighty. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you so much if you've done that already, and thank you for watching. And as always, make smart financial decisions every single day.